want to take this time to talk about ghetto and black and leadership and how it's not appropriate. Your personality of a black person is not appropriate to lead a country. You're not even capable of really leading 4,500 people, much less 4,000. And let's not even bring up Charlemagne, who thinks he's a god. That's some nasty shit to look at and try to watch you and listen to you spew out some nonsense you learned at church, where you then become the preacher of your own cult. So you like to keep the white man away so that we don't actually know what kind of cult you're creating, where on the weekends you go to the STRIP strip club or the ghetto ass Beyonce concert where her titties are moving up and down like this. And you're like, that's my queen. Or some black ghetto club that's very scary to attend because of the energy in the room, because you're fucking mentally ill. Because it's not safe, because you all have, just like in the Middle East, the same kind of beef going on in the club, because you hoes are acting like hoes. And even your own race, like, we won't use names, even your own race knows that it's effing true. And they've been trying their hardest to pull themselves out of that cult called black. Because all Jasmine Crockett, all Kamala Harris, all of these low-class, low-educated, lazy-ass Americans, and let's not even forget how she's invited Haitians in this country. That's even lower, because at least these low-class ghetto Section 8ers have a little idea of how the system works. The reality is you lowlives, they use the color of their skin for the longest time to keep them where they don't have to be a part of the hard work and effort. So they just sit back and say, B-L-A-C-K, 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 over and over and over and over again. And then they don't have to do the work. And that's especially for women. I mean, take a look at their nails and their nasty hair. That shit is nasty, unattractive, and you're low class. It's neither here nor there whether I've trained any black Americans, which I have at work, and all they could do was sit and use on the clock time to not do their job because they didn't want to do the job, because they wanted me as a white woman to do all the work for the black community. So they want free this and free that. They want reparations. They want us to pay for their way. Go back to Africa. Jasmine Crockett, go back to Africa and go do something in Africa that's going to make a difference for your black skin. Because you're sure as hell disrupting all of the Americans who are both race black and white. You're disrupting our lives, and you're actually showing why black people of the black race should not be president. And what comes to my attention right now is those people, those poor people in Chicago. And I know there's white and black, but we want to specifically focus on the black, of a gentleman who is speaking on a microphone to tell us how he's been a Democrat his entire life. God knows, only knows why. Maybe it was a feeling that your family gave you that you weren't good enough to be a Republican. However, once you sign on to being a Republican, your life could potentially change. And maybe that's what you were afraid of. That you actually were worth something. And then you wouldn't be able to have any reason why you weren't succeeding, except for then you could actually take a look over there at the lizard people, like Al Sharpton, and it would probably make you want to effing puke. Or your life would be at risk. I mean, I don't know which, because that's definitely a Democrat trait. the women standing at the Chicago, some event where the black mayor, who is not doing anything for you because he's pocketing the money or giving the migrants the money. Giving migrants the money is more important to Kamala Harris than helping our citizens. And this lady is an older lady who obviously is probably from the old school mentality, might be on Social Security, but is definitely deserving of her pie because she earned it. However, Kamala Harris says she's not worthy because she's not fighting for me. The migrants who aren't fighting for her either, they don't know what the hell's going on. They were flown here on airplanes and planted across the country. Springfield, Ohio? How the fuck did those amount of people get to Springfield, Ohio? How in the world did Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and AOC and Newsom and all these people and Jasmine Crockett think that they were going to get away with this in our country? How far is Springfield, Ohio? How far is that away from Chicago? This ghetto-ass, low-class black person, that is not a black person, by the way. That is not a black American. Those dudes that stood on the stage and said that they were criminals and they were murderers and that him and his homeboys, they went to this thing and then they were wrongfully accused when we all clearly know he was guilty. You can't possibly still support her after that guy. But she's still capitalizing off the white girl named Hadley who lies about everything and who's weird as shit. I mean, these people are weird as shit. You do know they're weird as shit, right? Jasmine Crockett is weird as shit and she's definitely low class. Let's not even get into the difference between Jasmine Crockett and Byron Donalds. Want to do a comparison of the professionalism, the upstanding citizenship of Byron Donalds? And the low-class, nasty, ghetto-ass, looks like she's a stripper, Jasmine Crockett. Is that a real name, Byron Donalds? And let's not even forget to mention Tim, who they always like to try to make me forget your name, Tim Scott, or how they abuse Herschel Walker when we all know that you won the election in Georgia. Another case of voter fraud. So we have to look at that mousy looking face of a preacher who doesn't preach anything more than the gospel of the devil. It's the same shit that Jasmine Crockett is shoveling out. Well, it doesn't feel safe no matter where you go in this state because we are not protected because of who? War. War is knocking. War knock. So I don't know about you, but I would prefer to have a Byron Donalds, a Tim Scott, a Herschel Walker over a Jasmine Crockett and a Kamala Harris and a Warnock. His little tactic is getting you to forget his name so you can forget all his criminal acts because they all learned it. They wanted their piece of the pie because Obama took from us. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty fucking sick and tired of this shit. And I'm really disgusted by the Americans, the college kids, and the sickos that stand in front and wave. I'm so happy. Ooh, yay! While you disrupt and abuse the rest of America, the 10% of the cult, which makes all of us want to scream, but we're not allowed to have an opinion because it's democracy for those of the 10%. That's the mind manipulation game of all those sick-ass women who abuse their sons and now they're abusing them as adults.